Now to our weekly series, Your Voice. Every Friday, we check in with talk radio hosts across the country to hear what their listeners are thinking and saying about what's going on right here in Washington. It's a way to get out of the bubble. Today, we have got independent and left-leaning host Randi Rhodes in Delray Beach, Florida, and conservative Michael Medved in Seattle. Thank you both for being here with us. Randi, to kick it off with you, what is the political topic your listeners are really interested in right now? And just tell us a little bit more about who your typical listeners are.
So my listeners have been with us forever, okay? We're distributed on a lot of different platforms. So we get them from YouTube, we get them from Free Speech TV, we get them, nationally. So it's a wide berth of, pretty interesting people who are very plugged in. And I've been watching politics for a really long time and, are terrified right now and embarrassed. So that's what we're hearing mostly is
about what specifically?
How embarrassing it is. Well, the Ukraine situation, I mean, saying that Ukraine attacked itself is just bizarre. And the idea that NATO is the reason for Russia having to attack at the same time as saying Ukraine attacked itself, as if, I don't know, its skirt was too tight and so you had to attack it. It's just so nonsensical that people are stunned, and we're embarrassed to see him on the world stage saying stuff like that. So I don't understand where this is going.
All right, Michael, to bring you in on this, tell us about your listeners who typically calls in and what's the big issue on their minds?
Well, the big issue right now, it does have to do with Ukraine. I mean, people should remember President Trump had promised that this war would be ended in 24 hours, and he knew the way to end it. And what he's done is opened up a new battlefront against not Putin, but against Zelensky. And I think that's a bridge too far, even for some of the most conservative listeners, because the percentage of conservatives, of Republicans who actually lean toward Vladimir Putin and believe that he was the aggrieved party and that he was attacked by President Zelensky is nonsensical. And people do not see Zelensky as a dictator. They do see Putin as a dictator, and then there are people on the left who see Trump as some kind of dictator. So basically, I think this is fascinating and compelling to people right now because the war's been going on so long, and it's had so many desperately painful moments and indications of the suffering of the people.
It's interesting that you both talk about Russia, Ukraine as sort of the animating issues for your callers. And I wonder how the economy is playing into for your callers and what they're saying about that, because our reporting is that inflation expectations are rising. Americans' confidence in the economy is falling. That is not a good combination. Randi, what are your listeners saying about that? I mean, how much do they care about that also in relation to some of these other issues like Russia, Ukraine?
Oh, it's everything. The economy is everything. It's why some of the people were talked into voting for Donald Trump. They were very unhappy with the economy. They thought that inflation, even though it had gone in the right direction, meaning down for many, many months in a row, they still didn't think it was happening fast enough, which is, what happens when it's hard to pay for things. And they were hoping that he was telling the truth about, he knew how to bring down the price of bacon. In fact, I think I saw him earlier in a clip on CNN saying that things have come down, that your eggs have come down and your bacon has come down, but it hasn't come down. And what's scaring everybody is that the idea that he's laying off all these people, government people who work in all 50 states, and that he is doing it willy-nilly, really sloppily and carelessly, not efficiently at all, not in the manner that Bill Clinton did when Bill Clinton streamlined government. It took a 7-year effort after 6 months of job reviews. And, this is just so hairy and crazy that people feel like it's going to cause a recession on top of this rising inflation, and it's terrifying. And when you look at bigger businesses like Walmart and Forever 21, and they're starting to react, something's cooking that's not favoring us, the consumer.
So Michael, I'm curious what your callers are saying about that. Many of them, I assume, are Trump supporters. I should note you are a conservative. You are not a Trump supporter. But what are some of those Trump supporters saying to you about the economy and the prices at the grocery store? And you're right, Randi, in some cases, eggs, for example, the prices are not going down. What are they saying to you? Is it bothering them? Or are they saying, hey, we'll just give Trump some more time. It's only been a month.
I think there's a tendency from a lot of callers to blame Biden and to blame Biden for everything. The difficulty is that can't go on forever. And particularly the issue of tariffs. I don't think that for people in Washington State, where I'm based, that people are very dependent upon foreign trade. And I think many people, including many stalwart conservatives who support Trump on immigration and support Trump on transgendered athleticism in schools and a range of other issues, do not support the idea that somehow the way to attack inflation is adding the cost of tariffs on basically everything that we bring here. When we had that expectation that there were going to be tariffs on Mexico and Canada, we're not far away from Canada, and our economies are intertwined. And no, there's no affection among conservatives for Justin Trudeau. But the idea that we were going to have a trade war with our two closest neighbors and our two strongest allies, this is not a productive direction for President Trump to move for the country or for his own political future.
It's interesting, though, that you say so far. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I was just going to add to what Michael is saying, because it's absolutely 100% true that Donald Trump is picking a fight everywhere with our allies. It looks to us like he's carving up the world and redesigning it in an image that isn't exactly democratic and isn't American. And Americans don't feel comfortable with it. They are telling us over and over again that they want us to figure out how to organize them and how to, make our voices so loud that they can't ignore us saying this is not. It doesn't feel like democracy to us. This doesn't.
Do they feel like
right.
Democrats are doing enough? Are they disappointed in Democratic leadership then in this moment that they see so critical?
They understand we don't have the numbers, and we don't, and they see the votes are very, very, party line, right down the party line for the whole cabinet and for this budget last night. And they understand that we don't have the numbers in Congress, but we do have the numbers in us. And so they're trying to figure out whether or not on March 14th, this government is going to shut down. And if it does, then we're going to shut down. Then we're going to strike as well. A general strike, it seems to be something on the horizon if, and I only say if, because if the government actually stays open and then we strike, and something happens to the economy, it looks like that would be a cudgel, that they would blame us. The Republicans would blame people who, but if they shut down the government, we're going to shut down too.
So, Michael,
and that's how we'll be heard.
What do you think about that? And what are your callers saying about DOGE in particular, all these cuts? It's interesting because a lot of the Republicans I've had on have been outwardly, the Republican members of Congress outwardly supportive of it, but some are now feeling the heat in their district. We just saw Rich McCormick in his town hall getting some of that heat. What are your conservative callers and Trump supporters saying about DOGE? Are any of them feeling the impact, or are they super supportive of what's going on?
I think it's basically a reaction to Elon Musk's personality. There is a great deal of affection among conservatives, of course, for President Trump. And President Trump is seen as a winner. There is not that same kind of affection for J.D. Vance, who just endorsed the extreme right party Alternative für Deutschland, AfD, in Germany. And there certainly isn't that kind of affection for Elon Musk. And I don't know what Trump does about J.D. Vance and the messages that he is going to be conveying, but I think that's a problem for the administration, particularly with this recent trip to Munich, of all places. Yeah. And I say that because of the idea of appeasement not working when you're dealing with Russia or America's adversaries. And I thought part of the point that Randi made is very real, that people in the country understand Ukraine is not our enemy. Russia, Canada and Mexico are not our enemies. And while people on the right can be very happy that the border crossings, illegal border crossings, have gone way down. Of course, they went down at the end of the Biden administration too, but they've gone down even further. People like that. They like Trump's style. They like the fact that he's upsetting the establishment and things of that nature. But I don't think it's a great idea to have the world's richest man as the number 2 figure in an administration. And I think that's going to long-term have real damage, even among some of Trump's most strenuous core supporters.
Interesting. I just want to follow up with you. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Randi.
No, I was just going to say the careless way that he approaches our business, our government, and everybody understands, I think, that Elon Musk does not know how government works, doesn't know how our government works. He's making decisions, to delete congressionally set up agencies, without going to Congress. The whole thing is anti-democratic. The whole approach is shoddy. And people are paying the price, and now it's just starting to be evident in various, cities and towns across the country. The idea that, he didn't know that the Energy Department controlled nuclear weapons. The idea that they didn't know that, the EPA doesn't regulate automobile, emissions. It's sad and it's scary, and he's got our data. And that's what everybody's reacting to, that he has our data.
Quickly, because President Trump is speaking at the White House. Very quickly, Michael.
Well, I don't want to upstage him for long, because I think part of the problem is that Democrats need a more positive vision about what are the alternatives to the current Trump and Elon Musk policies. And it's more than just criticizing Trump and wringing one's hands. Having a sense of how things could operate better and more rationally. That would be good.